Chapter 5. But Mom, Charles said, I knew it! Lizzie wailed. I just knew you wouldn't let us keep her! Mom looked from Charles to Lizzie and back to Charles again. I don't want to hear you wait! I don't want you to wait and hear what I decided before you all get upset, she asked. She led them into the kitchen. Goldie trotted along ahead, slipping and sliding on a little on the wood. The bean ran along on his short little legs, yelling, Dodie! Dodie! Dodie? Lizzie asked. This was a new word for the bean. It's how he says Goldie, her mom explained. She put a bowl of grapes and a plate of chocolate chip cookies on the table. He's crazy about that dog. All he wanted to do all day was follow her around and do everything she did. He even tried to drink from her water bowl. Charles looked down at the bean and shook his head. Who else had a little brother who thought he was a dog? So we're not keeping Goldie? He asked. Well, we aren't keeping Goldie for good, his mom said, smiling. But she's very sweet to the bean, so she can stay just for a little while. Doesn't tell me found her a good home. Their mom then patted Goldie on the head. She deserves the best. Mom! Lizzie threw her arms around her mother. Charles couldn't believe his ears. Really? Really? Goldie is staying with us. Only for a while, his mother answered. Don't forget about that part. She looked down at the bean. He was tugging at one of her shoelaces like Goldie tugged at the other. It's great for the bean to have such a good friend, but this family isn't ready to have a full-time dog. Not yet. Charles nodded. Right, he said. He was sure he could convince his mother to keep Goldie forever. He slid down off his chair and sat on the eber. He sat on the floor next to Goldie. She tried over, climbed up in his lap, and started chewing on his ears. It tickled. Charles laughed and kissed the top of the puppy's silky head. Goldie liked that. This boy made her feel happy and safe, and she was so glad to see him again. It seemed like forever since he had gone away. Goldie wagged her little tail as hard as she could as she nibbled, licked, and nuzzled. By now, Lizzie had joined Charles on the floor. Let me hold her for a minute, she said. Here, Goldie! Happily, Goldie climbed over to explore Lizzie's ear. The girl was also wonderful. She also smelled good. It tasted even better. The bean then started to nibble on Charles' ears. Hey! Charles said. Mom! Tell him he's not a dog! I've been trying to tell him that all day, his mom said, laughing. But then she sat down and got serious. So, here's the deal, she said. You two are going to be responsible for this puppy whenever you are home. That means you lock her, you feed her, and you make sure she has water. And don't forget our goal. We need to make sure Goldie goes to the best possible home. She looked at Charles, then Lizzie. If you do a really good job fostering Goldie, I might start to believe that this family might be ready for a puppy of our own sometime. Charles and Lizzie were nodding eagerly. Okay, Mom, said Charles. We'll start training her right away, promised Lizzie. It'll be easier to find a good home for that puppy when she behaves. Oh, and one more thing, Mom added. You also have to take care of all your regular chores. I don't want your rooms to become disaster areas just because we have a puppy in the house. She looked at Charles when she said that. Lizzie was tidy, but Charles' room was usually a mess. No falling behind on schoolwork. This time she looked at Lizzie, who always waited to do her homework until the last minute. No problem, said Charles, even though he hated cleaning his room. Absolutely, Mom, promised Lizzie. She held Goldie up and rubbed noses with the pup. We'll do anything to keep you around, right, sweetie? Goldie stuck out her tongue and licked Lizzie's nose. She then clambered down and started to sniff the floor. Lizzie jumped up. Oh, that means she has to pee, she said. When she sniffs like that, we have to get her outside right away. Then we praise her for doing it outside. Charles scooped Goldie up and ran for the back door. As soon as he got outside, he put her down and watched proudly as she ran onto the lawn and squatted. Good girl, he said. You're such a good girl. Goldie didn't know why the boy was so happy. It made her happy too. Sorry, I yawned. She ran to him, and when he picked her up, she licked his face all over. Charles and Lizzie spent the rest of the afternoon in Lizzie's room. Lizzie had her computer on and all her dog books out. When Charles rolled around the floor with Goldie, Lizzie told him all about puppy training. The most important things for a puppy to learn are, she held up 3 fingers, where to do your business, how to get along with other dogs and with people, and what your name is. And she put 1 finger down for each thing. Goldie already knows her name. Don't you, Goldie? Goldie stopped chewing on Charles' foot just long enough to look up. Her eyes were bright and her little ears were perked up. Good girl, Lizzie smiled at her. So we just need to work on the first 2. Housebreaking and socializing. Socializing is the word that dog trainers use for making friends, Lizzie explained to Charles. Goldie's already learning how to go to the bathroom outdoors, and she gets along with people. Pretty soon, we should have her start meeting other dogs, Lizzie went on. Her mom and brothers and sisters just taught her a bit about doggy manners, but she'll need more practice. Charles knew Lizzie was probably right, but he was just having too much fun playing with Goldie to even think about training her. At the moment, they were playing a game where she pretended his foot was a big, scary monster. Rawr! He kept it very still while she bravely creeped on it. And then, just as she was about to pounce, he wiggled his foot and Goldie went tumbling backwards. The next time she crept up, he let her pounce and get the monster. She growled tiny puppy growls, arr, 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 as she wrestled with his sock, trying to pull it off his foot. After a few rounds, Goldie stopped suddenly, wandered over to the soft rug next to Lizzie's bed, curled up for a while, and fell asleep. For a while, Charles and Lizzie just stared at her. She was so cute, with 1 paw over her nose. Okay, next, Lizzie said. We have to convince Mom that we're serious about finding Goldie a great home. But I want this to be her home, Charles complained. Lizzie sighed. Me too, she said. But for now, we're just her foster family. And that means it's our job to find her the best forever family. Charles sighed. We could make a sign, he suggested. Lizzie was great at using her computer to make signs and birthday cards. She got right to work. How does this work? She asked a few minutes later. She showed Charles a sign decorated with a picture of Golden Retriever. Perfect puppy needs good home, it read. The Petersons' phone number was on the bottom. It looks good, said Charles. Maybe too good. We really don't want someone to take her away, do we? He was still wishing that they could keep Goldie forever. Charles, Lizzie said, I don't really think Mom is ready for a full-time dog. But if we do a good job with Goldie, it will show her how responsible we can be. She looked at her sign again. Still, we don't want to give Goldie up too soon. She took up the word perfect. Better? She asked. When Charles nodded, she printed out coffee. Charles, Lizzie, called their mother from downstairs. Time for dinner. They took off one of the signs to show their moms and left others in a pile near Lizzie's backpack by the door. Let's let Goldie sleep, Charles suggested. She's had a busy day. They tiptoed out of the room and down the stairs. Goldie woke up a few minutes later. She stretched and yawned and looked around for her people. Where were they? They had gone away and left her all alone. This was her chance to sniff and explore this new fun place. Goldie roamed all over Lizzie's room, discovering new exciting smells and tastes in every corner. Finally, Goldie wandered over to the door. There was a pile of scratchy, fresh new papers. Goldie had been wishing for something to chew on and tear apart, and those papers looked just right. She dove into the pile and got to work.